The courtroom was a sea of murmurs as 14-year-old Malik Jackson stood in the witness box, his small frame dwarfed by the oak podium. His eyes, red-rimmed from sleepless nights, locked onto Judge Raymond Carter, a stern figure in black robes presiding over the sentencing of a drunk driver. The defendant, a middle-aged man named Paul Grayson, sat slumped at the defense table, reeking of regret. 6 months earlier, Grayson had plowed through a red light, killing Malik's mother, Tanya, as she walked home from her nursing shift. Today was the victim impact statement, and Malik had insisted on speaking. The judge adjusted his glasses, his voice clipped. "Mr. Jackson, you may begin." Malik's hands trembled as he gripped a crumpled paper, the words he'd scribbled late at night blurring through tears he refused to shed now. "My mom was everything," he started, his voice cracking. "She worked double shifts so I could go to school, have a future. She was coming home to me when he jabbed a finger toward Grayson. Took her away." The gallery shifted, a few jurors wiping their eyes. Grayson stared at the floor, but Malik's gaze swung to the judge. "But you," he said, his voice rising, "you killed her too." The room froze, a collective gasp sucking the air out. Judge Carter's gavel hovered mid-strike, his face paling. "Excuse me?" he barked. "You let him out," Malik pressed, stepping forward. "2 years ago, he got caught driving drunk. My aunt told me. You gave him probation, said he'd learned his lesson. He didn't. And now my mom's gone." The prosecutor leapt up. "Objection, Your Honor. This is irrelevant." "Overruled," Carter snapped, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of unease. The gallery buzzed, reporters scribbling furiously. Malik stood taller, his pain a weapon. "You could have stopped him. You didn't. That's on you." Carter banged the gavel, but the silence that followed was deafening, Malik's words echoing in every corner. The tension in the courtroom thickened as Judge Carter leaned forward, his stern facade cracking under Malik's accusation. "Young man," he said, his voice tight, "you're out of line. This court isn't the place for personal attacks." But Malik didn't flinch. He dropped his paper, letting it flutter to the floor, and crossed his arms, a defiance born of grief. "It's not an attack," Malik shot back. "It's the truth. You were the judge back then. I saw the records. My aunt kept them. Paul Grayson got a slap on the wrist, 6 months probation, no jail. You said he was reformed. Look where that got us." The gallery erupted in whispers, heads swiveling between Malik and Carter. The judge's jaw clenched, his gavel slamming again. "Order!" he bellowed, but his authority felt hollow. Grayson's lawyer stood flustered. "Your Honor, this is prejudicial. The boy's emotional." "Sit down," Carter growled, though his eyes stayed on Malik. The prosecutor tried again. "Your Honor, we should recess." "No," Malik interrupted, his voice steady now. "I'm not done. My mom deserved better. She was 36, working to pay bills, singing me to sleep when I was scared. She's gone because he pointed at Grayson, didn't care, and you," back to Carter, "didn't make him." Grayson buried his face in his hands, a sob escaping. The jurors sat stone still, some visibly shaken. Carter's face reddened, but he couldn't look away from Malik. "I understand your pain," he said, softer now. "But judicial decisions are complex. I followed the law." "Did you?" Malik challenged. "Or did you just let a white guy off easy? My mom's black, like me. Maybe that's why she didn't matter to you." The accusation hung heavy, a raw nerve struck. Carter's mouth opened, then closed. The bailiff shifted uncomfortably. The clerk's pen stilled. For a moment, no one moved, Malik's words carving a wound too deep to ignore. The judge finally muttered, "We'll take a recess." But the damage was done. Silence reigned, thick with shock and reckoning. The courtroom doors swung shut as the recess began, but the weight of Malik's words lingered like smoke. Outside, Malik slumped onto a bench, his aunt Denise rushing to his side. She wrapped an arm around him, her own eyes glistening. "You did good, baby," she whispered. "She'd be proud." Malik nodded, but his chest ached. He'd spoken his truth, yet it couldn't bring Tanya back. Inside, Judge Carter retreated to his chambers, the echo of Malik's voice gnawing at him. He pulled Grayson's old file, the one from 2 years prior. The details blurred. DUI, first offense, a lenient sentence. He'd seen dozens like it, handed down the same way. But Malik's accusation, racial bias, cut deeper. Carter prided himself on fairness, yet the boy's pain cast a shadow he couldn't shake. Back in the courtroom, Grayson sat alone, his lawyer whispering furiously nearby. The man's hands shook, guilt etched into every line of his face. He'd pleaded guilty today, hoping for mercy, but Malik's testimony had stripped away any pretense. The gallery buzzed with speculation. Would Carter double down or crack under the scrutiny? When the recess ended, Carter returned, his face a mask of resolve. "We'll proceed with sentencing," he said, avoiding Malik's gaze. The prosecutor outlined Grayson's plea. 3 years, light for vehicular manslaughter. Malik's aunt squeezed his hand as the defense argued for probation, citing Grayson's remorse. Then Carter spoke. "I've heard the victim's statement," he said, his voice low. "Mr. Jackson's loss is profound," and his words, "noted." He paused, the room holding its breath. "Paul Grayson, your actions took a life. Your prior leniency didn't deter you. I sentence you to 7 years, no parole." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Grayson's head dropped, his lawyer stunned. Malik blinked, tears spilling at last. It wasn't justice, not fully, but it was something. Carter banged the gavel, but his eyes flickered to Malik, a silent acknowledgement amid the chaos. The sentencing landed like a thunderclap, and the courtroom erupted in hushed chaos. Malik sat frozen, his aunt's arm tight around him, as reporters scrambled to capture the moment. 7 years wasn't enough to fill the void Tanya left, but it was more than Malik had dared hope for. He wiped his face, the weight of his outburst settling into something bittersweet. Judge Carter remained at the bench, his expression unreadable as Grayson was led away in cuffs. The defense lawyer muttered about an appeal, but the fight had drained from his client. The gallery emptied slowly, jurors whispering among themselves. One, an older black woman, paused by Malik. "You spoke for her," she said softly. "That took guts." Outside, the story spread fast. By nightfall, local news ran headlines. Teens outburst sways judge in DUI case. Pundits debated. Some called Malik brave, others disruptive. Carter's reputation took a hit, his past rulings now under a microscope. He sat alone in his chambers, staring at Tanya's file photo, a smiling woman in scrubs. Malik's words replayed, "Maybe she didn't matter to you." He rubbed his temples, doubt creeping in. Malik and Denise walked home under a gray sky, the city humming around them. "Did I do right?" he asked, voice small. Denise stopped, cupping his face. "You made them listen. That's more than most get." He nodded, clutching the necklace Tanya had given him, a tiny cross, her last gift. Back in court, the clerk filed the day's records, the silence heavy. Carter's sentence had shocked even his staff. 7 years was rare for a first fatality. Some whispered it was guilt, others a nod to Malik's courage. Either way, the boy had shifted the room's gravity, forcing a reckoning no one saw coming. As Malik lay in bed that night, he whispered to the dark, "I got him, Mom." The silence answered, but for once it felt less empty. The next morning, the city woke to Malik's story plastered across every screen and paper. A grainy courtroom sketch of him pointing at Carter dominated front pages captioned, "Boy's Cry Shakes Justice." Social media exploded. Renault's Malik Speaks trended, with thousands praising his raw honesty. A few criticized Carter, digging up old cases, while others defended him, arguing he'd corrected his mistake with Grayson's sentence. Malik stayed off his phone, overwhelmed by the noise. At school, kids stared, some offering shy nods of respect. His teacher pulled him aside. "What you did? It's big, Malik." He shrugged, unsure how to carry the weight of it all. Judge Carter faced a different storm. Colleagues called, questioning his ruling. 7 years? That's harsh for a plea, one said. Carter snapped, "It fits the crime." But privately, he wrestled with Malik's words. He requested a review of his past DUI cases, a move that stunned his clerk. "You sure, sir?" she asked. He nodded, grim. "I need to know." Grayson adjusted to county jail, His first night spent staring at the ceiling. He'd written an apology letter, but it sat unsent. Malik's face burned into his mind. The sentence was a lifeline he hadn't earned, and he knew it. Denise watched Malik over breakfast, his quietness worrying her. "You change things," she said, "not just for us." He toyed with his cereal, then met her eyes. "I just wanted him to hear me." She smiled. He did. They all did. By week's end, a petition circulated, stricter DUI laws, inspired by Tanya's death. Malik's name was on it, a reluctant symbol. Carter saw it on the news, his jaw tightening. He'd sentenced Grayson, but Malik had sentenced him too, to face his own choices. In the silence of his room, Malik hung Tanya's photo, her smile steadying him. The courtroom had fallen silent that day, but his voice still rang, a boy's grief shaking the foundations.